Hello, this is Paul Bergin from the Mars Hill blog. You can find me at www.paulbergin.blogspot.co.uk. I'm continuing my series of vlogs on political heroes of mine who helped change society. And the one I'm mentioning today is an obvious one. A big Titanic figure of the 20th century, and not just in British history throughout, but also pretty much in global history, and that is Sir Winston Churchill, who was the UK Prime Minister during the Second World War, or for much of it anyway, and from 1951 to 1955. He also had one of the longest continuous parliamentary careers in the House of Commons, from 1900 with a 2-year break between 1922 to 1924 till 1964, when he stood down at the October general election. He died in January 1965. There's much to praise Churchill for, there's much to criticise him for, criticism to put it mildly in some cases. I think it was put best in one of the obituaries about him by Michael Foot, where he said that on nearly every major issue Churchill got it wrong. He got it wrong on the miners, he got it wrong about India, he got it wrong on how he dealt with Eastern Europe, he got it wrong on so many things. The one time he got it really right was he got it so right he was far more accurate than many others, and that was over the issue of Hitler and Nazi Germany. Churchill stood against the Nazis just about from the word go. He was very much a lone voice in the Commons as a backbench MP in the 30s, and he time and again mentioned what a threat, not just to Europe, not just to Britain itself, but to civilised society that Nazism was and is. Such was him being a lone prophet in the wilderness that when Britain finally went to war with Germany in 1939, he became First Lord of Admiralty in the Cabinet. He had cabinet experience before. He'd won the longest cabinet experiences, I think, in British history. He was President of the Board of Trade, Home Secretary, also First Lord of Admiralty under Asquith, under Lloyd George. In the latter part of the First World War, he was Minister of Munitions. Just after the First World War, he was Secretary for War and Air and Secretary of State for the Colonies. Under the Baldwin Conservative government in the 20s, from 24 to 29, he was Chancellor of the Exchequer. So he had a very long cabinet career and experience, even if his judgment was flawed in some respects. But such was his experience of tactician and war. Bear in mind he went to Sandhurst and he had experience in the armed forces before he was an MP. He also was a hero in that during the Boer War he was captured and he successfully escaped from a prison camp and managed to get back behind Allied lines. He showed during that time in 1940, as exemplified well in the film Darkest Hour, grit, guts, determination and encouragement in fighting on alone, in spite of the odds. He did not hesitate to call for help from the US, and he pulled every stop available. He knew how to cajole, he knew how to persuade, he knew how to wheedle, he knew how not to give up. He could be incredibly charismatic and charming. He had difficulties. He suffered from depression for much of his life, what he called black dog. He had times of, I think, of self-doubt, but he kept going and he kept fighting on. And at that time, in one of Britain's darkest hours, we needed someone like Churchill. And not just him, he inspired many in the civilised world. The Americans think well of him for very good reason. And of course, after the war, he got the plaudits. but it was many years before he felt able to fully retire from politics. Criticism, he was not wholeheartedly seen as a saint by the British people. He badly lost the 45 general election, but he is well regarded as someone who was there when we needed him. And for all of those reasons that I've mentioned as positives, that is why Churchill is a political hero of mine, and how his inspiration and turn of phrase and his ability to inspire and encourage, and the way he was pragmatic, helped save Britain and much of the civilised world.